Now then, I've got breaking news on Sumner Redstone and the competency lawsuit. What's the latest?
Well, this comes from what happened over the weekend. There's a trust of 7 people set up to essentially manage Sumner Redstone's interests, huge amount, Viacom and CBS. They were told over the weekend that they were off the trust. We're talking about CEO Philippe Dorman and Director George Abrams. They have now turned around. Dorman, on behalf of Abrams, has filed suit saying you can't do this. This is Sherry Redstone, who is Sumner Redstone's daughter. They're saying that Sherry Redstone is attempting to illegally hijack her father's well-established estate plan. So this continues this fight.
Really?
The trust was set up in case he becomes mentally incapacitated or in the event of his death. This is the succession plan.
Is he mentally incapacitated or not? They're going to find it out in court again.
Sumner Redstone wants them out. They want to stay.
Okay, let's see the stock when it opens.
Yes.
A group that helped the White House sell the Iran nuke deal also gave NPR, National Public Radio, $100,000 to help it report on the deal. How convenient. All rise, Judge Napolitano is here. I think I've got the story right. I don't see anything illegal here, but it ought to see the light of day. That's what I think.
Agreed. There's absolutely nothing wrong with giving money to NPR. I mean, it's a government-owned corporation, but it accepts contributions. You're not purchasing a shareholder stake. But there'll be nothing different between this and somebody buying shares in NBC Universal because they like the message that NBC Universal is delivering.
Oh, so the implication is that this group gave NPR money because they liked the way NPR reported on the Iran nuke deal.
I don't know why else would anybody give NPR a nickel unless you like the stuff that they report.
I think we ought to know about this supposedly middle-of-the-road but taxpayer-supported NPR. I'd like to hear about this.
Do they really claim to be middle of the road? I mean, they're about as far from the middle of the road as one could imagine.
I heard a commencement speech by some NPR people who are on the air, and they claimed middle of the road.
Wow. All right.
I disagree.
We see them differently than they see themselves. But big picture, this is all. How did this come out? This came out in the same New York Times article in which Ben Rhodes acknowledged what I told the Congress and what I told the American people was a lie. We lied because it was necessary to dull the irrational fears that the Congress had about the Iranian mullahs. And once we could dull them into a false sense of security, then they would go along with the president's deal. All of this came out at the same time. It's part of the same mentality of the end justifies the means as long as we can get this deal signed.
It amounts to buying a certain type of coverage of your issue. You want the Iran nuke deal to go through, so this group gives $100,000 to NPR. Make sure it goes through. Make it look good.
I would like to know where this group's money came from, but I respect the First Amendment liberties of this group not to have to reveal who their donors are.
So long as this kind of thing sees the light of day, and you and I can report on it and tell people what we've found, I have no problem with that, but I'd like to know the truth. I'd like to get into this.
And we have our friends at the New York Times, and perhaps a moment of guilt on the part of Ben Rhodes to thank for now knowing the truth.
We do indeed. Well said, Judge. Are we seeing you again at 11?
I think the Supreme Court might have some news for us.
Really?
In the next hour, in which case you will be seeing. I do expect, I don't know which ones, but some decisions to come down between 10 and 10:30 Eastern this morning.
And you're our guy on that. Thank you very much, Judge.